2023 Mercedes-Benz CLA 250, courtesy of Mercedes-Benz of Hagerstown in Hagerstown, Maryland. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. And so we are in this one today because I personally love the styling of the CLA. It does have that coupe-like styling with the frameless door glass, and we'll get more into that as the video goes on, of course. But this is actually a Mercedes-Benz starting at under $40,000. So that's, of course, pretty attractive as well. So ultimately in this video, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, exhaust clip, all that fun stuff. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so to start, there will be two different configurations for the CLA 250. You got the front wheel drive variant and the all-wheel drive variant. The front wheel drive MSRP is at $38,200. Then the 4MATIC all-wheel drive will start at $40,200. But regardless of which configuration that you go with, the power plant on the CLA 250 is going to be the same. Powering the little beast is a 2-liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder, putting out 221 horsepower at 5,500 RPM, 258 pound-feet of torque, coming in at 1,800 RPM. Power sent to front wheels or all wheels through a 7-speed dual clutch with paddle shifters, which we will, of course, be testing out here in a little bit. 0 to 60 time coming in at approximately 6.3 seconds, with MPG numbers coming in at 24 in the city, 33 on the highway, taking premium unleaded fuel. And so before we do any kind of fun paddle shifter or acceleration test here in the CLA, wanted to mention to you guys the drive modes. It's labeled Dynamic Select. It is a little toggle switch located just to the left of the touchpad controller, but that will give you different driving modes, including Eco, Comfort, Sport, and Individual, adjusting things like the shift points, the throttle response, the steering sensitivity, and actually that individual driving mode will actually let you go into full manual shift mode with the paddle shifters, which is kind of cool as well. So I personally like that. But now having got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway. Let's put the paddle shifters and acceleration here to the test at the same time, and let's see how quickly we can get this thing up to speed, and let's see how quickly the paddle shifters are going to react for us here. All right, you guys, we're in full manual shift mode. I just put it in sport driving mode. This should be a green light here any second. In 3, 2, 1, called it. There we go. Good grief. Oh yeah, baby. Quick paddle shifters, lightning freaking quick. Nice, very, very nice. Definitely not gonna have any issues merging onto the highway. This thing, quite honestly, is pretty darn quick. You're gonna have a lot of fun in this, and like I said, the paddle shifters are insanely quick as well, so definitely not gonna be disappointed when it comes to the acceleration and paddle shifters in this thing. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. And so up front, you will find 13-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 12.6-inch solid rear discs. As far as that 6.0 stopping distance goes, it's going to come in at an insanely impressive 121 feet. And that's one of the first things I muttered to myself when I started driving this thing. Insanely firm braking feel. I absolutely love it. I just hit the brakes there. I love the braking feel on the CLA 250. Instantly brings you to a stop. There's no brake pedal delay or soft spots. It is a very, very good braking feel. Mercedes-Benz typically absolutely crushes it with the braking feel, so I'm a huge fan of that. Then touching on suspension and handling, up front you're going to get a McPherson strut front suspension. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension, front and rear stabilizer bars. Did want to also mention there are two different AMG packages, AMG line packages I should say. One's with a dark theme, one's with a regular theme, I guess you could say. But with those two packages, you do get a lowered comfort suspension. So I did want to emphasize that we don't have either of those packages. But having said that, as far as ride quality goes, it has been perfectly fine on my short test drive here today. So 100% on point there. As far as cabin noise goes, we're currently going 58 miles per hour. So you guys will be able to tell with my Rode external mic here if there's any cabin noise or road noise coming in right now. It's not that bad. It's perfectly on par for the course. As far as Mercedes-Benz goes, especially not as quiet as an S-Class, but you guys probably already knew that. But touching on steering feel, now that I have it in sport driving mode, it is a very heavy steering feel right now. Let me actually take it out of that, put it in comfort. It does loosen up a little bit, but even in comfort driving mode, it has a heavier weight to it, which I personally appreciate, because the heavier weighted steering feels typically instantly put you in the direction that you want to go. So I'm definitely a big fan of the steering feel, no matter what driving mode that you put it in here in the CLA. And touching on visibility, I can see perfectly fine out the back. Even with this being kind of a fastback or tailored coupe-like design in the back there, I can still see perfectly fine out the back, so don't even worry about that. And rain sensing windshield wipers actually do come standard on the CLA 250 as well, so that's going to assist with forward visibility. Essentially what that is whenever this thing detects any kind of mist or rainfall, it's going to automatically turn on those windshield wipers for you. So it's kind of a safety feature, kind kind of a convenience feature in itself there. So I'm a big fan of that. But anyways, that about rounds out the performance segment of this review, you guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior of our brand new 2023 Mercedes-Benz CLA 250. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2023 Mercedes-Benz CLA 250 finished in polar white. In case you were curious of our exterior color name that we had on this one here today. As always, let's go ahead and start up front on the CLA here. Matte black front grille will come standard. That is what you guys are currently looking at right now. And I want to emphasize that because if you were to go with one of those two AMG line packages I've been telling you guys about, you will actually get a diamond block front grille, which essentially is where each of those little indentation or blocks in the front grille are changed up to a chrome finish. So more or less, that's what they are referring to there. But unique front fascia also to go along with those AMG line packages as well. You will find an aluminum accent on the very bottom portion of that front lip there as well. You guys can see that. Also, one thing smack dab in the middle, the Mercedes-Benz emblem, you can actually get that as an illuminated LED star. So do want to mention that available option that goes for $450. Remember, I reviewed that one in last year, December of 2021, I think, with the illuminated star. So that was pretty darn cool. To the sides, LED headlights do come standard, of course, with LED daytime running lights and the automatic feature, meaning when it starts to get dark and at night, those headlights will turn on automatically for you there. Did want to also mention, though, there is an exterior lighting package that goes for $900, and that is going to add to all of that automatic high beams, meaning if you have your high beams on at night and it senses a vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to dim them back to low beams. Then when the vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bump it back up to high beams, and then also active LED headlights, meaning when you're going around a bend at night, the headlights are going to swivel based on the direction of your steering angle, better help illuminating what is around that bend, so you're less likely to hit a deer or whatever, a cyclist or whatever the case. So do want to mention that available package option for the headlights, but that pretty much rounds out the front end of this one. Definitely very good looking. So now I'll go ahead and make our way to the side of the CLA. All right, so but now since we are around to the side of this one, of course you do have that coupe-like silhouette with the frameless door glass, one of my favorite parts. You don't find sedans typically with frameless door glass. That's almost always found on coupes, no matter what brand you go with. So it's pretty cool seeing it on a sedan or a four-door form. So that's pretty cool. Chrome window surrounds will come standard, body colored power adjustable side mirrors as well. And the side mirrors are actually heated with LED integrated turn signals, and that comes standard for whichever configuration that you go with. So that's pretty cool. Then take a look down at the wheel setup. 18-inch multi-spoke alloys will come standard. However, there are 18 and 19-inch wheel designs available, and then if you were to go with one of those AMG line packages, those come with 18-inch AMG specific alloy wheel, so I wanted to mention that as well. And since I haven't mentioned it yet, there are two of them. One of them goes for $2,700, your standard AMG line package, and then there is the kind of the black accent version of the AMG line package that goes for $3,100, in case you were curious of either one. But chrome accenting also found on the upper portion of those door handles, also wanted to mention that. But again, coupe-like silhouette, definitely looks good. Let's now go ahead and make our way to the back, which is my favorite part on the CLA. All right, so like I said, the very back of the CLA is my very favorite design element, at least, to this one, because it is such a cool looking back end. It's really like nothing else on the road, and it looks a heck of a lot more expensive than the starting price point of $40,000. I'll just put it that way. But anyways, rear spoiler is available. You can get that either body colored or gloss black finish. That goes for $300. Of course, we don't have it here today, and honestly, you don't need it. This thing still looks absolutely amazing without it. LED taillights do come standard as well. If you go down all the way to the very bottom there, you'll find a rear diffuser if you were to go with one of those AMG line packages. Otherwise, you're going to simply get what we have here today, which is integrated dual exhaust outlets with chrome tips. And yes, I love how they integrated the exhaust into the rear bumper. So many manufacturers don't do that. But having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next. As always, here is that exhaust clip. So, but now since we are around to the back of this CLA, when it comes to opening that rear trunk, there are several different ways. There's a button on the driver's side door. There's a button on the key fob itself, of course, but my favorite way is there is a hidden 007 James Bond way of going ahead and opening it, and that is within the upper portion of the Mercedes-Benz logo. You simply just press in, and it's going to automatically open up for you. So kind of like Volkswagen does. So I'm a big fan of that. And by the way, in case I haven't showed it to you guys yet, this one is made in Germany. You can tell by the W, the first letter of the VIN on this particular CLA. So yes, it is made in Germany. That's pretty cool. But anyways, once opened up, cargo capacity comes in at 11.6 cubic feet. seat. If there was not enough space, there is a 40-20-40 split, meaning the rear seats do fold down pretty darn flat for a good bit of extra space then if you needed it. There is some cargo lighting back there. There's some tie-down anchors, which is always kind of surprising because you typically just find those in SUVs, but they are available and they do come standard, I should say, in the CLA, so that's pretty cool. And actually, if you were to lift up underneath of that cargo floor, you're actually going to find a little bit of in-floor storage as well. Another one of those features you find in SUVs, but not so much on sedans or coupes, so that's pretty cool as well for like an ice scraper or something like that here in Western Maryland, so big fan of that. So then making our way to the rear legroom, that is going to come in at 33.9 inches. So for reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is me sitting behind my own driving position, so a little bit snug if I'm being honest. There is a rear center armrest with cup holders that does come standard back there. There is rear ventilation. There is also, though, a rear USB charging port. You don't always get that with sedans, or I should say four-door coupes, because that's essentially what this is. But another thing I did want to mention, because of its coupe-like shape in the back, there is a little lack of headroom, I guess you could say, in the back there. For my 6-foot self, at least. Maybe children, of course, are going to be perfectly fine, but I did want to mention that as well. Then make our way up to the front seats. MB Tex upholstery will come standard. Leather seating is available for $1,450 if you wanted that. Plenty of different color options there. Power adjustable front seats do come standard. Memory settings for actually 3 different drivers and passengers. So both seats in the front are going to have memory settings for up to 3 different positions. That is pretty darn cool. I'm a big fan of that. That comes standard. Heated front seats go for $500. Heated and ventilated seats go for $950 combined. Multi-contoured front seats then go for $760 with those active side bolsters. So that is pretty cool as well. Overall seating was plenty comfortable, especially the power lumbar found actually on the seat itself, because all the other buttons are actually found on the doors up front here. So did like the power lumbar there. That definitely made it comfortable. But then take a look at the steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping. It will be leather wrapped. That comes standard. And if you wanted a heated steering wheel, that is going to go for $250 then. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the startup. Let me start by showing you guys the key. You do have all of your buttons located on one side of the key, essentially lock, unlock, and the button to pop the rear trunk there. But you do have the ability of a remote start via the Mercedes Me mobile app. So simply just download the app on your phone. You can start this thing up remotely, but it is all keyless entry with a push button start. So in this case, all I'm going to do, simply put my foot on the brake and press that black engine start button located just to the left of the air vents. And so once started up, when it comes to those gauges, 7-inch digital gauge cluster will come standard. However, there is a 10.25-inch digital gauge cluster that comes with a premium package. And by the way, that package goes for $1,750. That is what we have today, and that gives you obviously the bigger screen, but then the infotainment screen is going to match whatever size digital gauge cluster that you get. So I want to emphasize that as well. But this digital gauge cluster honestly is one of my favorites, so if not my favorite, because it has something towards the end that's labeled design and display, and when you hit that, you have your choice between classic, sport, progressive, and understated, completely changing the look of the digital gauge cluster. And that is one of the best parts really about any digital gauge cluster, is it is completely customizable. Some manufacturers only give you a couple options. Mercedes-Benz, however, gives you a ton, or in this case 4 different options, which actually is a good bit right now. So big fan of the gauge cluster on this thing. But now let's go ahead and make our way to overall interior quality. There is a panoramic roof, and it is pretty darn big. That comes standard across the board. Universal garage door openers go for $280, and that comes with a frameless rear view mirror. So that's located just underneath the rear view mirror, obviously. Dual zone climate control comes standard, so both driver and passenger can set their own temperatures there. One of my favorite parts, and definitely my favorite part in the interior though, 64 colors of ambient lighting with illuminated vents comes standard on the CLA 250. Now, some other Mercedes-Benz, it's optional, but on the CLA, it's standard, no matter which configuration that you go with. And Mercedes-Benz, I always say this, they do ambient lighting better than any other manufacturer. It's thicker, it's brighter, and it just looks so stinking good. And again, there's so many different color options available. So huge fan of the ambient lighting on this thing. I like the silver trim found just above the passenger side glove box, also found on the doors there. Just in front of the cup holders here, you have a little rubberized storage to put your cell phone if you wanted to. Of course, you got your dual cup holders. There's a phone charging port, 12-volt power outlet. You have your touchpad controller and buttons just behind that for the infotainment screen. We'll get to that in a second. And within the center armrest, decent amount of storage. You have a couple more phone charging ports in there as well. So overall, when it comes to interior quality, the attention to detail is really where it's at in the CLA. Like for example, these overhead lighting that we have here, you press the button and it slowly fades in, and then you press the button and it slowly fades out. So it's touches like that, the attention to detail, that I'm a big fan of. But having said that, I always find room for more constructive criticism, so I'm just gonna say it. Paddle shifters are black plastic. They could have coated that in a smooth silver finish, for example, or made them aluminum, a little more high end there. Engine start button is also a black plastic. They could have done the same thing there. And there is some black plastic found around the cup holders. I would probably leave that plastic for cost purposes, but at least put a design to it to give it a little more pizzazz, make it look a little more upscale there. But I do like the gloss black finish around the touchpad controller, I will say that. So that's my constructive criticism for the interior quality. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the infotainment screen. 7-inch infotainment screen, like I said, comes standard, but then there's that 10.25-inch screen is what we have today. And of course, it is all touchscreen, and it also can be controlled by the touchpad controller, and you can also control it by simply saying, "Hey Mercedes,
how may I help you?
Do you prefer Mercedes-Benz or BMW?"
I'm sorry, but I can't help you with that right now.
Well, shoot. You get the point. There's actually commands you can ask, like the radio settings or change the ambient lighting color, things like that. I was just messing around with it, but there is some really cool functionality there without a doubt. But of course, you have Bluetooth and audio streaming, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. You have augmented reality navigation. If you go with the multimedia package it gets for $1,300, it essentially projects the navigation up on your windshield and kind of shows you where to turn in real time. It's stinking cool. But also have themes up on the infotainment screen. So there's a bunch of different themes that can change just about everything from opening and closing the panoramic roof here, to the different colors of the ambient lighting, to really a lot of different variations you can control by just simply changing up the theme. So I'm a big fan of that. Of course, you can check out your ambient lighting colors manually up there. It displays driving statistics if you wanted to as well, along with your radio information. And so when it comes to the sound system, 8-speaker sound system does come standard on this thing. So having said that, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and turn on the radio, see what we got playing today, and let's test out the clarity of this one. All right, honestly, for 8 speakers, that was really, really good. Ton of bass. You can clearly tell there is a subwoofer somewhere. Clarity was definitely on point as well. So absolutely no issues. Maybe it's because this isn't that big of a vehicle, but that was a brilliant sound system, quite honestly, for the CLA, for just being an 8-speaker sound system. That's not like Burmester or Harman Kardon or anything fancy like that, but very well done there. But anyways, last thing I'm going to mention to you guys on the infotainment screen is when you do put the CLA in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board with a couple different views as well, so I do want to mention that. But there's a surround view monitor that comes with the parking assistance package. It goes for $1,090. It gives you that bird's eye view of what is completely all around you, which is always going to lead us into safety. And so front side curtain airbags do come standard. Driver's knee airbag also comes standard up front, and then in the back there's optional rear seat side impact airbags. They go for $700 if you wanted that option. Also in the back though, you got latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, and then also coming standard though, the more exciting safety, I guess you could say, active brake assist, Mercedes-Benz emergency call service, which essentially if you get in an accident, it's going to automatically contact you and ask you if you need an ambulance or the police or anything like that. That's pretty cool. Tension assist, blind spot assist, cross wind assist. That's pretty cool as well. Adaptive braking technology. But I did want to mention there is a driver assistance package. It goes for $1,700, and that gives you essentially everything else. Active distance assist Distronic, active steering assist, evasive steering assist, active brake assist with cross traffic function, emergency stop assist, speed limit assist, lane keep assist, blind spot assist, lane change assist, and route-based speed adaptation then as well. So overall, when it comes to my final thoughts here of the CLA, ambient lighting is stunning. That is always my very favorite part of the CLA. It is absolutely wonderful. I wish every manufacturer did it like this. Coupe-like styling is wonderful as well. You gotta love the frameless doors in the back and the front as well, so that's pretty cool. Excellent interior quality. There's a couple things I would change, but for the most part, interior quality is quite brilliant here in this thing. As far as the room for improvement goes, the rear seat headroom is kind of snug and overall legroom as well, so there's not a ton of space, but like I said, if you have small children, they should be perfectly fine back there. And of course, this thing can get quite pricey with all of the different options available by Mercedes for the CLA, so I did want to mention that as well. But overall, let me know what you guys think of the CLA 250 in the comments section below, and that is about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching.